Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, everybody. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Today's going to be all in Spanish. No, I wish. I wish I was fluent in Spanish at this point to be able to do that, but I am not. I'm working on it. So today, this topic is kind of, it's funny because it's actually, I think, a very good topic, but it's a question a lot of people don't ask. Sometimes they do. When people will get into a place where they will ask this question, but a lot of times people are asking disempowering questions when they should be asking this question. It's kind of elusive, and that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it today, because I think this is more a part of our journey than we realize. So hopefully I can explain it in a way where you're going to realize how big of a part of the journey this is. So therefore you can lean into it, So a lot of times, what I mean by that is a lot of times people are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They feel like they've done everything that they were supposed to already. They, this just takes so many different looks. I'm trying to kind of run through them. The feelings that we have, because this is what people can identify with, the feelings. Oh, I felt overwhelmed. I felt like I've done everything before. It's a good way to connect to the people so they can connect to the teachings. Like if I'm just talking about something random and you haven't made a connection to it, how it applies to your life, then people tend to miss it, right? Basically, I would venture to say, I've done over 365 podcasts. There is probably something that every person could take out of every one of those podcasts. Why? Because we are more alike than we are different. So we've all experienced the same things. So if you've listened to some of these podcasts and you're like, oh, that was an interesting concept that he discussed, doesn't really apply to me, then you probably missed the point, right? Because we're all the same. This is how, how often I tell people exactly what their voice inside of their head is saying. I do that all the time. And they're like, oh my God, that sounds exactly like what's going on inside of my head. How did you know that? It's like, because my head said the same thing. And so does every other client that I've worked with. We're not that complicated, So I wanted to throw these different ways so you can be like, oh, that's what he means. Oh, I have felt like that. Oh, I have thought like that. And then once you make that connection, then as I'm talking, you can basically take my words and slant them into your particular situation. And then you can get the most benefit out of it. If you're just sitting there listening to somebody talk about some vague concept that you're not identified with, you're probably not going to get that much out of it. You might get some intellectual understanding, oh yeah, Glenn explained a concept. You'll probably never use it. You'll probably never think of it when it comes up because you haven't made that emotional connection with it. You haven't made you haven't drawn the line to what it looks like in your particular life, right? So try to do that with this podcast and all my podcasts. So So yeah, a lot of people get to places where they're frustrated. They don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed. They think that they've tried everything, or they're overstimulated because there's so much to do. They don't even know where to begin. That's another very common way, especially towards the beginning, but it can happen anytime where you're like, I have, in society, we like to diagnose things. We like to label them. It makes us feel safe, like we actually know what's going on. So people be like, in the beginning, like, oh, well, I'm bipolar, and I have an alcohol problem, and my relationships suck, and I'm broke, and I don't even know where to begin. Right? Like that's another way that finding out what is your work, you know, because it looks like everything is your work, right? And you don't even know where to begin or where to start. So like that is another way to identify with what I'm about to explain. There's lots of doors to come in. This is the beauty of spirituality. Is in spirituality, everything is deep and it's simple. So I'm going to explain what is your work. Now, that's deep and it's simple. The doors you can come at to where this is useful are many. Oh, I feel overstimulated. I don't know what to do. I feel like I've done everything and nothing has worked. I simply just drawing a blank. I don't know what to do at all. And some of the other things I mentioned. And it can look obviously in ways that I'm not mentioning right now. Right. So where you just don't know what to do. So I say all that to get to the topic of what is your work. Your work is whatever's going on in your life at this particular moment. And I mean very specifically. Like what I mean by that is if you got up off the couch and walked into the bathroom and kicked the coffee table on the way, your work is, why did you kick the coffee table? Probably because you weren't present and your mind was elsewhere, or you were rushing, or you were trying to do 5 things and you figure you got to get to the bathroom before you can accomplish the other things. So your work in that particular moment is slowing down and becoming present, because what you're doing is you're getting caught up in the accomplishment mentality. You're getting caught up in the future. You're getting caught up thinking that the future and accomplishing something in the future is more important than the present moment. And you're not centered and you're not peaceful. So in that moment, that's what your work is. Okay. And everything is like that. So if you woke up and you're in a bad mood and you don't know why you're in a bad mood, that's what your work is. It's to sit there and either one, it could be to figure out what's bothering you. Sometimes you can't figure out what's bothering you. Sometimes it's just energy bubbling up from the past. That happens to me more often than, like, very rarely do things bother me. I would say that's not necessarily the right way to phrase it. Of course, things still bother me, but a lot of it not like it used to. So but if things are bothering you, then sometimes it's to find out what it is bothering you. See, a lot of times with me, it's just energy bubbling up. It's just sometimes, like yesterday, I had some anger and some fear. Yeah, I'd say it was mostly anger and some fear that was coming up. And there wasn't anything I needed to do. There wasn't anything in particular that was actually making it come up. I wasn't having a difficult time dealing with any of that stuff. So that's what I do first. I look at it like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Okay, is there something bothering me? Is there something? No. I'm getting, I center myself. I'm not getting any information. So if I'm not getting any information, then there is no information that's necessary for me to have. Sometimes that's another thing that people will do in this. They try to figure everything out like there's an intellectual answer all the time. Sometimes it's not intellectual. Sometimes it's just energetic, especially if you've been on this path for a while, where you've reframed the way you look at things into healthy ways. Then sometimes, we've been walking around this earth stuffing emotions for 40 years. Sometimes it's just emotion coming up. It's trapped energy that needs to be released and needs to be felt to be released. Sometimes we just need to allow it. So first I was like, okay, is there something bothering me? Something I need to work through? No. Okay. So, all right, I just need to allow myself to feel this then, and understand that this is just energy that's attached to me that is releasing through being felt, being allowed to be present. I allowed the anger and the fear to be there without attaching to it, without feeding it, without attaching to it or feeding it. So therefore it could be felt and it could just go on its own. I don't have to force it to go, but I can say, hey, this isn't me. This isn't part of the energy field that I want. I want to be walking around in love and peace and connection. And this doesn't feel like that. So this isn't me. This is not my natural state. So it can go, but I'm not going to resist it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to think that there's something wrong with the fact that I'm feeling it right now. It just is. So I allowed myself to feel it. And little by little, I started feeling better in the evening. Sometimes that happens, especially with sensitive people. There's lots of energetic shifts going on right now. We're also in 2025, which is a 9-year, which that doesn't mean a 9-year in numerology. It doesn't mean that our whole year is going to be one way. We don't have to read so much into it. It's just we're always, every day is a new start. So that means every night is an ending, and every new day is a new start, right? So we're constantly going through endings and beginnings. We're constantly doing that. The idea of 2025 being a 9-year just means that a lot of times we can see cycles ending in a 9. So things tend to wrap up in a 9-year a little more than other years, right? So we're probably going to see more of that this year. Now, that remains to be seen. But we can allow ourselves to release this stuff, and this is a good thing to do, whether it's a 9-year or whether it's not a 9-year. Well, end stuff. We can end stuff whenever we want. So but my point was that this year being a 9-year, it's setting us up for a new beginning next year. So there tends to be more endings of things this year. So embrace that. And what does an ending look like? Well, one of the endings can be not walking around with the anger and the fear inside of us, right? I want to walk around experiencing love. Oh, okay. Well, then go through the ending of walking around in fear and anger. End that. Use this to have the concept of, I'm feeling this, so it's no longer in me, so I can embody love better. Right? This is the healthy outlook we have to have. Like a lot of time we run from feeling crappy so often. It's socially acceptable and it's conditioned within us to do this. Whenever we feel anything uncomfortable, we either stuff it or we think that there's something wrong with the fact that we're feeling it or all this stuff. And like we have to, whatever we resist persists. So we have to stop resisting that and allowing ourselves to feel it. So, but feel it in a healthy way, like looking at it going, oh my God, I feel crappy and this sucks and my day is horrible. That's actually feeding it. I don't like this. This is horrible. That's resistance. Just look into it. Oh, okay. Well, there's nothing that I can do about it. How convenient that this is a 9-year. I would like to not walk around feeling like this. I've carried some fear and some anger in me for years, and I've gotten rid of lots of it. And now I'm just clearing out the rest. Cool. Good. I don't want to have it in me. So I'll allow it to be felt when it needs to be felt so it can transmute into a different form of energy. Okay, so acceptance. So yesterday, that was my work. What is your work? Well, if you're experiencing road rage, that's your work. If you're pissed off at your boss, that's your work. If you're battling depression, that's your work. Well, with depression, specifically to understand it and to be able to come through it. Sometimes the work is easier than we think. Sometimes it's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. Some topics of work are sometimes easier and sometimes they're harder, but usually we tend to overcomplicate things and overthink things. And this is partly why I'm having this podcast, because oftentimes we make a mountain out of a molehill, and then we try to figure out why we stay stuck. And it's just, relax. It's just whatever's in front of you. Just deal with whatever's happening in front of you, because that's how perfect the universe is. That's how perfect this divine intelligence that runs things is. Like, there is one goal for you, and that's for you to expand and become more of yourself. And everything is supporting that. Everything is supporting that. So when you get a flat tire, your flat tire is supporting you needing to do some sort of growth that's attached to having a flat tire. That's why you got the flat tire. Especially, and this is even, what's ironic is this, to me, it becomes more apparent the more unbelievable the situation is. Right? That's one of my red flags that captures my attention. Like when I catch myself going, why is this so difficult? It shouldn't be this difficult. Or I've done the same thing over and over and it hasn't worked, or something along those lines, where you really get frustrated because you're doing what you think you're supposed to do to work through something or to accomplish something or something, and it's just not working. There's a reason why it's not working. Because the universe doesn't want it to work. That's why. Well, why would the universe not want it to work? Well, the victim mentality says, God hates me. Or some version of that. I'm a victim of the flow of life for some unknown reason. You know, that's where we fall into when we get in a pity pot and it's poor us and all that stuff, which is obviously unhelpful. So when it's really obvious that I've done everything that I can to make something work and it's still not working, that's what captures my attention. It's like, oh, this must be one of those times. I didn't see it until now, but thank God I'm seeing it now. If it was supposed to work out, it would have worked out because I put in plenty of effort and taken plenty of action to work it out, and it's not working out. So therefore, it must not. The universe must not want it to work out for some reason. It's holding me here for something. So what am I not seeing? Am I not seeing that maybe I just should let go of this and just it's not important and leave it, let it go and move on with my life? Sometimes it's that. Sometimes a lot of times it's my energy. I'm too attached to the outcome. I'm trying to accomplish a goal too much. And when I just go, you know what? Hey, if it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, that's fine too. And once I really, not in an intellectual way, in an actual energetic way, and I really embody that belief, slow down, disconnect my brain, really energetically feel it, say it over and over until it makes sense to me. And I'm really centered and calm and accepting with the fact that if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Then all of a sudden it just works out because the universe is trying to teach me, Glenn, I don't want you trying to accomplish your goals through unconscious efforting all the time, pushing, do. Because if you keep doing things that way and it always works out, you're going to think that that's how the universe works. And it's not how the universe works. The universe doesn't care if we accomplish something or whether we don't accomplish something. It literally doesn't care, doesn't have a dog in that fight. So it doesn't care. What it cares is Glenn expanding or is Glenn not expanding? What does Glenn want? He wants to live his life peaceful and loving. Okay, is he doing that? No, he's all unconscious and wound up and trying to accomplish a goal that he thinks is important. That's really not that important. Oh, okay, well, let's just block this until he disconnects from it and reshapes his perspective and understands that this really isn't that important in the grand scheme of things. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine as well. And then once I embody that energy, I put some effort in and it just works out smoothly. I go, oh, that's what it was. It wasn't, the universe doesn't care what I'm doing. It cares the energy in which I'm doing it, the methodology of how I'm doing it. If I'm doing things, if I'm living my life through love, and that makes me more expansive and more into the person that I'm supposed to be, then it's going to support me. If I'm doing something that's out of alignment with that, then I'm going to hit roadblocks. Why? So I stop and go, whoa, what's this roadblock? Why am I having so much difficulty here? Oh, I dropped into some unconsciousness here and I'm making the accomplishment more important than how I'm accomplishing it. Oh, okay. I have to reverse that. Okay, cool. That's why the thing isn't working out. You see, that's why I'm saying whatever you're experiencing is where your work is. If you're having a difficult time with a family member or somebody you're in a relationship with, that's where your work is. Look around that. Look around whatever you're having problems with. Whatever is on your mind now. Whatever isn't working out the way that you think it should. Whatever is frustrating you. Whatever is transpiring. You know, it's winter now. So like there's this, you know, I've done podcasts on seasonal depression. And the winter, it's been raining a lot here in the Dominican Republic. And so I'm inside more, right? That's my version of winter in the Northeast where I grew up in the US. So it's like, seasonal depression and staying inside and gray skies and that type of stuff. It can have an impact. So usually what people do is like they don't like the way they feel because of the gray skies or the needing to stay in more often. And they don't like that. So they ruminate on how much they don't like it and how bad it is and how negative it is for them to be in that environment and how horrible it is. And you're just feeding some label. I mean, like there are people who don't get depressed in the winter. There has been winter transpiring for many, many years. Right? We don't have to be depressed. It's not mandatory. And this is coming from somebody that experienced it. Like it's one of the reasons why I moved to a warmer climate. I don't like being cold. I don't like being indoors all the time. So I moved. But while I was in the Northeast for 14 more years after 10 years in Florida, and I moved up to be with my son to Rhode Island for 14 years, and I had to deal with that. Well, I did a lot of work on trying to make peace with the fact that I was inside and it was cold because I wasn't going to feed how much I hated it. How's that going to help me? And let's be honest here, I did my fair share of complaining about it too. But my point is I didn't benefit when I complained. I did benefit when I did the work on it. So going within this time of year and doing the inner work and finding peace within ourselves, that's nature has cycles. The winter is just about going within. I just saw a good clip about this. This concept about going within to find the answers, right? Because we're like, oh no, I'm stuck in the house. It's like, well, wait, you're stuck in, okay. What does that mean in a grander scale? You're stuck inside, within. So go within, find answers within, find peace within. Everything is within us anyway. So winter is a time to reconnect to ourselves, to go within and reconnect to ourselves. So use it for that. And that's our work, right? So this is what I mean. Whatever is transpiring, that's what your work is. So if you live in an area where it's winter and you're being forced to go within, conceptually and physically, instead of sitting there, like if there's an outlook that's disempowering to you, if it makes you feel bad, then it's wrong. Find another one. That's how you know what your work is. If the way you're looking at something is making you feel bad, then you should find another way to look at it, because there is nothing wrong with life. It's been flowing for billions of years, and it will continue to flow for billions of years without your help. So there is nothing wrong with the flow of life. So if there is something that's bothering you, there is another way to look at it in a way where it doesn't bother you. Changing the way we process information so we're not a victim of life is extremely important. And that shows itself in many areas. Whatever's transpiring in our life, it shows us where we need to do that. Oh, look, this bothers me. Oh, the customer service on the company I was trying to accomplish something on was bad, and that frustrated me. Okay, well then there's your work. That's your work. Somebody didn't what's one of the common ones? Like it's kind of like the martyr syndrome is very common. So it's like, oh, I do everything for people and they don't do anything for me. Okay, well that's where your work is. Not their work. You're not going to go out into the world and change how everybody treats you and what everybody else thinks is fair and change no, what you need to do is you need to do your work. You need to take responsibility for your life. And you need to learn how to say no. And you need to learn the difference between enabling and actually helping people. Because this is a big difference. And if you're allowing people to take advantage of you, then that's your work. It's not their work. If you're waiting for other people to do their work before you experience happiness, you're on the wrong path. You got to do your work. Your life and your energy is your responsibility. So if somebody's taking advantage of you, you need to get better at boundaries or understand, like I said, where you're enabling instead of helping. And that's a lot of times the problem. So wherever you are, that's where your work is. Just simplify. It's, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm so lost. Oh, I just broke a dish. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I was rushing. Why did I break the dish? Was I rushing? Was I angry while I was doing the dishes? Was I, occasionally accidents happen, but usually they're a sign, they're a symbol of what our work is. So if something is transpiring in our lives that we don't like, that's where our work is. If our feelings are off, that's where our work is. If we're frustrated by something, that's where our work is. If our thinking is off, that's where our work is. If our thinking is victim mentality or negative, or the way we're thinking generates negative emotion within us, then we need to find another way of thinking. That's where your work is. Right? Simplify. It's not, the universe is on your side. Like it wants what you want. It's just the difference is it knows what you actually want and you don't. A lot of times that's the case, right? Like we all walk around going, I want peace. I just want to walk in love. And then all of a sudden the refrigerator isn't working. And we're like, I want the refrigerator to work. And I'm going to be upset until it starts working again. Okay, well, the universe doesn't care about your refrigerator. It's using the refrigerator to get you to work on walking in peace and love. No, I'm not saying that if you start just shifting your energy, that the refrigerator is magically going to start working. Maybe it will. Sometimes it does. I've had that happen actually many, many, many times. Things weren't working, electronic things, my internet, my telephone, my car, all kinds of things not working. And then once I changed my energy, all of a sudden they start working magically again. That happens all the time to me. So, but it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I actually have to first shift my energy and then walk in that energy to take action to get the thing fixed. And practice staying in that energy, not get in that energy and then get frustrated again because it's not magically fixed. No, I have to live in that energy. Why? Because the universe wants me living in peace and love. And it knows that that's more important than a refrigerator working for a couple of days. And somewhere we know that too, but we forget because we get all caught up in a problem that's right in front of our face. Oh, I want the refrigerator to work. If the refrigerator would work, then I'd be happy. No, you wouldn't be happy. And you wouldn't have learned how to be happy even in situations that are difficult. That's the point. If we're going to be happy and peaceful and be anchored into the vibration of love, which is what we all really want, whether we know it or not, then we have to practice doing that. Well, how do we practice doing that when everything's going hunky-dory in our lives? No, it's easy then. Everybody's happy when everything's going their way. It's to do it when things aren't going your way. That's the work. And the better you get at it, the less you'll have to learn it, and the less the universe will bring situations in for you to practice on. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that's where your work is. Whatever little thing is transpiring in your life. And the other thing is that, like I touched on in the beginning, spirituality is very simple and it's very deep. Like there's not a lot to learn spiritually. The Dalai Lama talks about that. It's like, it's just compassion is my religion. That's all. Very simple, right? We can learn from him because that's basically how it is. We think that we need to learn how to deal with 350,000 different situations. No, we don't. Just turn to love. We need to learn how to release 350,000 childhood traumas. No, we don't. Just go into love and that energy will automatically dissipate. You'll just vibrate at a different energy. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes we can't use some work. Sometimes there are some childhood traumas that we need to work through. And so putting our focused attention on them and that energy releases us. It opens us up to more love. Yeah, sometimes we can use things like that. And sometimes they're blocking certain levels of our happiness. So doing some of this work, my point is people just get caught up. We overcomplicate it, and they get caught up in doing work after work after work after work after work. And anybody that's done that is going to tell you that after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of doing their work, do they have more work to do? Yup. And they're tired because it never ends. Like if you go looking for problems, you will always find them. Look for love, embody love as much as you can, simplify. And as things pop up in your life, it's not that you need to learn how to wash dishes properly, and you need to learn how to drive without getting road rage properly, and you need to learn how to deal with a refrigerator broken properly, and you need to learn how to deal with your spouse properly. Those aren't all different things. They're all the same thing. And once you start using those things, those are symptoms. Those are, hey, you can use this to do what? To learn how to do the dishes better? No. Universe doesn't give a crap how well you do dishes. All it wants to do is teach you how to be more present in situations and how to anchor yourself in love. That's what it wants. That's what it's trying to teach you. So learn that. So use whatever little symptom that the universe is showing you as a tool to come back to love in some sort of way. And it's literally giving you whatever is transpiring in your life. The universe is like, here you go. Here's your work. Here's your work. You need to anchor into love better. So here's a situation where you can anchor into love better. You're welcome. And we're over here going, no, not another one. I'm so sick of this. But that's your work, and you're not always going to be like this, but I have experienced times where I actually got excited when things went wrong because I was like, oh, good. Like, oh, I'm gonna grow through this. Oh, this is boy, the universe loves me so much. It gave me this opportunity to grow. Thank you. Like you can actually get to places like that where you embrace it and it's enjoyable, But I'm going to wrap it up. Look at whatever is transpiring in your life. The little things, the bigger things, whatever, the medium-sized things, that's where your work is. So if you're wondering what to do and you're looking around and you're like, geez, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with my life. Everything's good right now. Okay, then that's your work. What? Well, to experience the gratitude for the moments that everything is just fine. And you know how it's harder to like feel the feelings of love when you're going through a difficult time? Like it takes a lot of your energy just to make it through the difficult time. So you're not necessarily walking around with this feeling of love the whole time emanating from you. Okay, well then if nothing wrong is happening, why don't you take that opportunity to emanate love and practice walking around through your daily wonderful life at that particular moment, feeling gratitude and love and spreading that to other people. That's part of our work too. So you see, when things are going bad, that's part of your work. When things are neutral, that's part of your work. When things are going good, that's part of your work. And not work in I'm constantly working. We should get rid of that word work. It's our opportunity for growth. And the more we embrace it, the more we grow. And the more we grow, the more we experience love, peace, and contentment. And that's what it's all about. Walking through life happy, joyful, peaceful, contented. And we need to do that in the difficult times. We need to do that in the neutral times. And we need to do that in the happy times. And think about what a life that would be, man. And we don't have to be perfect at it. It's just, if you do that more often than not, you win. Congratulations. So yeah, whatever you're experiencing right now, it's your opportunity for growth. So embrace it as that. So hopefully that resonates. All right. Thank you all. Peace. Talk soon.